NFL Total Access presented by Bridgestone. I'm MJ Acosta-Ruiz. Okay, friends, settle in. Get your schedules out because they're changing. Let's start with what will be the final game of Week 12. Ravens at Steelers is now set for Wednesday afternoon. That's a 3:40 Eastern kickoff on NBC. The next two changes are for Week 13. First, Washington at Steelers will move to Monday, 5 p.m. kickoff, and the Cowboys at Ravens, originally planned for this Thursday, that is now set for next Tuesday, so a week from tomorrow. That's 8 Eastern. That'll be on NFL Network, Fox, and streaming on Amazon. Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero join me now. Ian, let's start with you on the Ravens and Steelers game. How did this matchup land on a Wednesday now?
Took a long time to get here, eh? Maybe the longest week in NFL history, at least. Well, that actually is what it is now, based on the schedule. Of course, this game was originally scheduled for Thursday, Thanksgiving night. The Ravens kept having positive tests, an outbreak in their building, and the game moved from Thursday to Sunday. Then it was, of course, supposed to be on Tuesday night, and as the league and the Ravens waited on the testing results today, there started to get pushback from the players. I'm told, Tom, that the Ravens had a players-only meeting in which they said two important things. One, they did want to play the Steelers, of course. Two, it had to be done safely. They were frustrated. They didn't have enough days to practice. They were frustrated. They didn't have 2 days of clean testing. They made their voice heard, and that in part is why the game, I'm told, was pushed to Wednesday. By the way, Tom, if you're wondering why a 3:40 start instead of later on Wednesday, the NBC has the Rockefeller Plaza tree lighting, Christmas tree lighting, so couldn't interfere with that.
I will certainly stay tuned for that, Ian. Remember, these are medical decisions, not competitive decisions that the NFL and its medical experts are making. But there are competitive implications of pushing back that Steelers-Ravens game to Wednesday. Specifically, we are told that running backs J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram, who would not have been eligible to play last Thursday or Sunday or Tuesday after their positive COVID-19 tests, will be eligible to play on Wednesday night. Their 10-day isolation period will be over. These decisions, again, were made based upon trying to get another day's worth of COVID-19 testing results back, also allowing the Ravens into their facility. They're going to have a walkthrough tonight. They'll be able to practice tomorrow, try to avoid some of the muscle strains and sprains you might get after a longer layoff. That's why they pushed the game back to Wednesday, but certainly a big boost for Baltimore entering a big game at a time that still will be without about a dozen players, including their quarterback, Lamar Jackson, MJ.
All right, Tom and Ian, stay with me because, of course, we have more changes to talk about. The 49ers are going through a different type of COVID-related move, one that seemed to be unexpected for the team. So the Niners tweeted this photo of the field at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, where they will be playing their next 2 home games. It's a move running back Raheem Mostert says makes a hard season even more difficult.
For me, personally, it's been a struggle, not having my little family. Sorry if I get a little emotional, but it's really tough, and I miss them so much. And it's a fight out here every day. You're fighting for your life, and I just want people to understand that. It's just not football players. It's the whole organization. It's everybody. People have to make sacrifices out here, and I sacrifice to leave my family behind so that way I can make a living for them. Yeah, so that's all I gotta say, really.
Tom, I'll start with you here. How did the 49ers end up in Arizona, and how long will they be there?
Well, the 49ers had to quickly begin exploring their options after Santa Clara County handed down new restrictions that included a 3-week ban on contact sports. Now, 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan made abundantly clear after yesterday's game that they were not happy. They'd been trying to work with the county as a partner, and then they found out while they were on a plane for yesterday's game that they were going to have to move. So they worked quickly with the NFL as well as with the Arizona Cardinals to find a temporary home. That's where they will play Week 13 and Week 14 in Glendale at the Cardinals Stadium. Owner Jed York of the 49ers even took to Twitter to thank Michael Bidwell and the Cardinals for making what has to be an unprecedented accommodation for a division rival here on short notice.
Yeah, and Tom, there still is the possibility that the 49ers are able to return home for Week 17, their finale of the season. Remember, this is a 3-week order, so at least that door is still open. And one other part of this, where will the 49ers practice? Of course, just like they're not allowed to play in Santa Clara County, they're not allowed to practice either. My understanding is the tentative plan right now is to head down to Arizona for that as well. Stay in a hotel near the stadium, practice on the fields there, play in the games, and hopefully for them be able to get back home after that. Meanwhile, another COVID situation, guys, we have been following. The Denver Broncos, who you may have heard didn't have any quarterbacks, had to start a practice squad receiver named Kendall Hinton on Sunday. The band is getting back together. The Broncos quarterbacks, including starter Drew Lock, expected to be cleared, believe, tomorrow from the any COVID restrictions. They were deemed high-risk close contacts. So next week for the Broncos game, they will at least, as of right now, have a quarterback.
Oh, my goodness. You guys have been very, very busy today. We appreciate every single update. Ian and Tom, thank you. All right, let's take a look in at our Monday night game. Carson Wentz warming up ahead of tonight's game against the Eagles there against the Seahawks. All eyes on this QB. A lot of questions around Philly's QB, of course. Our QB, David Carr, joins me now. We will be getting into that Carson Wentz discussion. David, don't you worry. That's a little later on in the show. But first, I want to know what it is you're really looking at in this specific matchup between the Seahawks and the Eagles.
Well, the Seattle Seahawks are starting to find their stride, and they tend to do this almost every season. They slowly ramp up, and there were questions about their defense early on. What was happening there? Carlos Dunlap has been added. He has 3.5 sacks in 3 games. Jamal Adams leads the team in sacks with 5.5, and it looks different. They're not the Seattle Seahawks that we're used to. They don't just play one defense. They're all over the place. Jamal Adams is up at the line of scrimmage. They're attacking and aggressive, and that has led to some big-time points for the other team as they find their stride, but they're starting to figure it out. And they turned in one of their better performances this last week. So now you fast forward, to where we are now tonight. And I think that takes a lot of pressure off Russell Wilson. I think before he was really trying to make plays and force the issue. He was turning the football over, not playing like his normal self. And I think if this defense can start to, give him a little bit of confidence, he maybe doesn't feel like he has to do as much anymore. And then he can just let the game come naturally to him. Chris Carson coming back is obviously going to be a big help. But DK Metcalf, he's clearly has developed a great relationship with him. So facing the Eagles tonight, obviously they're going to do well on offense. They're going to move the football. He's going to make his plays. But we'll see what it is on the other side. I mean, with that Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts thing, that thing could go anywhere. We just got to kind of stay tuned and see what the Eagles have in store.
Our producer Aisha said earlier, how everyone's looking at the Seahawks. Just watch the Eagles come back and do something. I'm not saying that's going to happen,
exactly.
But let's keep an eye on it. David, thanks. All right, and while we wait for more game action tonight, let's take a look back at the Chiefs and Bucks, our Total Access Game of the Week.
Mahomes wants the long ball downfield. It's a caught ball by Tyreek Hill. Touchdown, Kansas City Chiefs. Downfield toward Hill. Makes the catch at the 15 to the 10. Zigzags his way into the end zone. And Hill does a flip of reverse somersault.
Going to Ronald Jones. High stepping it down the sideline. Touchdown.
Mahomes goes toward the end zone. The caught ball. Touchdown, Kansas City Chiefs. My goodness.
Help is on the way.
Brady takes the snap. Drops, looks, throws the ball down the far sideline. It is intercepted, picked off at the 10-yard line.
The pupil is turning into the teacher.
Left ourselves a big deficit to start. Going to get back to work and try to do a lot better job the last quarter of the season.
We played well enough to win. That's the great thing about football and the NFL is you build and try to execute and be the best at the end of the season.
All right, Patrick Mahomes putting on another show here. He just gets even better each week. So Next Gen Stats powered by AWS. Since taking that loss against the Raiders back in Week 5, this is how Patrick Mahomes has fared against the blitz. 66.7 completion percentage, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a 139.4 passer rating. Oh, and he hasn't been sacked either, gentlemen. All right. A not so subtle tweet here by the Chiefs after last night's win saying, "See you again soon, Tampa." Very ominous. Tampa, of course, where the Super Bowl will be held in just a couple of months. I didn't get to give the big intro earlier because we had so much drama coming into the show, but William McGinnis, Steve Mariucci on set on the big stage with me, and perfect setting because, Mooch, the Chiefs team seems to be unstoppable. I don't care that they're not undefeated. I feel like they make me fall in love with the game every single week.
MJ, I don't know how you chose that Next Gen Stats there against the blitz, because you could have showed no blitz, inside the pocket, outside the pocket. He's great at everything, right? And, to watch these guys, I just sit there and marvel because we've seen greatest show on turf. We've seen some great offenses, right? But, man, this is so much fun to watch.
It is.
Patrick Mahomes had 359 yards passing at halftime. I thought for sure he was gonna break the record, of Norm Van Brocklin in 1951. Willie and I was not there for that. But we had Tyreek Hill had 200 yards in the first quarter, and then Travis Kelce, amazing tight end. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce ranked number 1 and number 2 in receiving yards in the National Football League. And you know when that last happened? Back in 1980. Willie, you were just a toddler back then.
Was I born in?
The San Diego Chargers. Yes, you were. The San Diego Chargers. Remember them with Dan Fouts, John Jefferson, and Kellen Winslow were 1 and 2 in the National Football League. This offense is a lot of fun. And you know what? Tampa had to play against them. Oh, boy.
They did, and it was 27-24, and the game looked a little bit closer at the end, but it wasn't really that close. First of all, Tyreek Hill, double team him, okay? One-on-one with a backup quarterback, you can't do that. All right? Now, on the Bucs side, when you look at the offense and how everybody's talking about this continuity and the flow and being fluid and all those different things, is 18 of 65 in the deep passing area, okay? If teams know that you're going to throw the ball down the field, and this head coach loves to do that, what are they going to do, Coach? They're going to go too high safety.
Sure.
Second highest in the league that teams facing them on defense are playing too high. Now, I don't know if it's a system conflict where a coach and OC wants to throw the ball downfield or they're forcing the ball downfield, but you got to understand what Brady's bread and butter is. It's throwing the ball where you let him, where you allow him. He's going to take advantage of the holes. You can't force certain things, okay? He'll take a 5-yard, an 8-yard. He has a time clock in his head. He wants the ball out of his hands. He doesn't want to sit back in the pocket for 4 seconds till the deep routes develop. Now, if there's a team that's giving up the deep pass and they're playing single high and he sees the matchup, they're going to attack that, okay? It should be game specific. Don't force a system on players because that's what you want to do. Build your system around the players and where they have the most success. And those plays will open up at some point. But make them pay underneath until that happens.
Okay, Willie, but it sounds simple in theory, not so much so in
The man has 6 Super Bowls doing it.
Plus, run the ball a little bit against 2 high safeties,
right?
I hope everybody's paying attention and taking notes.
Break it down. I'm just breaking it down.
I'm just breaking it down.
All right, listen, thank you. But I want to remind folks at home about these schedule changes because it has been a whole lot. So once again, here are the game changes announced just moments ago. Let's start with what will be the final game of Week 12. So the Ravens at Steelers, now set for Wednesday afternoon. That's a 3:40 Eastern kick on NBC. The next 2 changes are for Week 13. First, Washington at Steelers. That will move to Monday, 5 p.m. kickoff. And the Cowboys at Ravens, originally for Thursday, is now set for next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, 8 Eastern. That's on NFL Network, Fox, and on Amazon. Still to come on NFL Total Access, when you run for half a mile and catch for a couple thousand yards and score a bunch of touchdowns in the process.
That's 3 for double 2.
Well, that's called being a baller.
He backflips into the end zone.
But other than Messrs. Hill and Henry, who else set off